This is the RPM Podcast.
My God, you guys look like unemployed backup dancers.
And here we are again, episode 160 of the Riggleman plus Matthews podcast.
No,
That's what RPM stands for. That was sent to me by Robin Irvin and Tom Irvin.
I thought it was going to be Riggleman something memories.
Riggleman's plus Matthews podcast. That was sent in by Robin and Tom Irvin. Thank you for that. I thought that was pretty funny. They sent that to me the other day. So 160, it's Monday night at 8:56 p.m., December 9th, 2019. I'm Scott Riggleman in the Edge of Divorce Motorsports Studio in Manchester, New Jersey. My brother Tim Riggleman is up in his little studio in Farmingdale, New Jersey. Tim, how are you?
I'm good, ready to go.
And Joshua Matthews, he's full of hatred and Wawa coffee. He's 50% hatred and 50% Wawa coffee. Josh Matthews, how you doing down in Waretown?
I'm still warming up from Sunday.
Saturday.
Or Saturday, yeah. It was chilly.
It took me what though? It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be though. It really wasn't, you know.
No, it wasn't.
But then again, I left after I had my stuff loaded up. I didn't stay for
It just started getting brutally cold, like halfway through the last Demolition Derby.
Mm-hmm.
Like it started to get really cold, but it was okay during the day. I had no problem.
Yeah, there's just a little bit of a breeze that would give you a chill if you sat in the shade, I think it was during the 4-cylinder race. It started to get cold, and yeah.
I tell you what, all in all though, it was a pretty nice day for racing. It was clear and cold out and sunny. You know,
it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Out of all the Turkey Derby days, I think last Friday night was probably the coldest. Besides that, it really wasn't that bad. All Turkey Derby, the cold weather.
No, I missed that warming tent. I guess the rental was up on that.
Yeah, I guess that's one bad thing about it getting postponed to the following week. Some of the goodies got taken down, and some of the comforts at home weren't there this time when we went back. All right, well, we'll get into that in a little bit. First, we just want to touch a little bit on NASCAR. There was very, very surprising news today. Cole Pearn, the crew chief for Martin Truex Jr., he resigned today, just out of the blue. It's kind of weird, Tim. What do you think it is? He's saying he just wants to stay home with his family a little bit more. He's been at it 6 years full time, and before that, he was an engineer. You know, he just said he wants to stay home with his family. It's kind of weird that it happened like right after the banquet.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, usually when it happens quickly like this, right after the banquet, they had a successful year, and they were successful before this. To me, it always seems like when they use, I don't want to call it an excuse, but when they say it's to spend more time with my family, it always seems to come out in the wash that there's more to it. I hope there's not. For his sake.
Like, did something happen at the banquet? Did they all get in an argument with each other at the banquet?
Anything could happen. You know,
a couple of drinks, a night of drinking, and next thing you know, you're fighting with everyone. And then on Monday morning.
No, what happens at the banquet? He found out that it was somebody on his crew was paid to switch those tires. He's like, screw this. I'm not.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of conspiracy theories. I kind of agree with Tim. I mean, for him just to walk away from the whole situation, usually if a guy that good and that smart and a team like Joe Gibbs, if the guy comes in and says, listen, I'm going to resign because I want to
they'd find another place for him.
Yeah, exactly, Tim. You're exactly right. If he went to the Coach Gibbs and say, listen, I'm going to resign. I got to stay home with my family. I got some family issues. I'll watch my kids grow up. Someone smart like Joe Gibbs will say, okay, we'll move you up into management or something like that. Keep you in the shop working. You can be home, work a 9 to 5 here. You don't have to travel and go on the road anymore. You can set the cars up here at the shop. Just don't go out on the road or on the track. I mean, basically today with this technology today, he could technically crew chief the thing from home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of weird that he quit the whole operation.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll keep an eye on, see where he ends up and what happens there.
Didn't Carl Edwards kind of leave out of the blue?
Yeah, and that was a Gibbs deal too. You're right, Josh. He just quit out of the blue too.
Yeah, but the whole conspiracy, which I mean, it's not even much of a conspiracy because it seems obvious to everybody, was the Aris deal and Suarez.
Right.
You know,
I
like,
don't know. It's kind of weird. It's
so
just
that's why I
something to keep
think
an eye on. You know?
something more is up there, which is kind of sad because I mean he seemed likable and he was the one person to stand up and call Logano squinty douchey eyes and you know, so I mean I thought he was likable and yeah it's I don't know there's probably more to it and I mean if it is personal then and he wants to keep it that way that's fine, but I feel that there's more to it in a business sense or something else is going on. So I
Yeah,
don't
we'll
know.
keep an eye on it. I have a feeling by midseason he'll be back with another team. You know what I'm saying? Like something like that. You know, it's almost like you got to void out a contract before you can start something else or something like that. You know,
Yeah,
there's more to this story than we know, and we'll keep an eye on it. But then again, Carl Edwards just walked away, and we all thought he'd come back after a year. You know, when his contract ran out and go drive for Ford or something. We never saw Carl again. So. Um, I don't know. We'll keep an eye on it and see what happens. I don't know, so I really can't say anything. But it was just kind of shocking. I mean, when I saw that on Facebook, I thought it was fake at first. I'm like, no way, man. They're all set up to go win the championship next year. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
top of their game, right?
Top of the game. You know, why walk away now? I don't know. I don't know, Tim. What do you think?
I think Kyle Busch win the championship again next year. So
It doesn't matter who Martin Truex. Well, that's interesting to say. You know, now does who is going to crew chief for Martin Truex now? Do they have somebody on that team that can step up into that spot? Does he get Kyle Busch's crew chief? Who knows? You know,
And then
you
how
never
does
know.
the chemistry work? Because I mean, they worked well together. I mean, that was one of the
Yeah, they
biggest
did.
selling points or the biggest deals was that when Furniture
they kept
Row,
them together.
yeah, yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And they wanted at that point they wanted to be together. So
It's just
you
weird.
know,
You make it sound
It's just
so
weird that
romantic.
it happened right after the banquet too. You know, that was kind of crazy. But we'll see. I'm sure more will come out in the Washington, and then in the couple of days from now we might know more to the story. Another cool thing that happened today, I saw on Facebook. I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but Dale Jr. was over at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Tim, did you see that?
I did see that, and he posted some cool pictures. I think obviously he gets to go wherever he wants when he's there.
He's got like the key to every racetrack. He can just do anything he wants. That guy lives the life, man.
He went into the care center, the infield care center,
Uh-huh.
and like all the stuff still in there, like all the gurneys and all the
Isn't that
towels.
amazing? Isn't that amazing? It's like
Towels all over the floor and everything's
it's just weird how they leave so much supplies behind. Like if you're not going to use it and you're not going to sell, at least get dumpsters and throw it away. It's just so weird how they just leave everything.
And it was amazing actually how much. Do you see all the big pile of
Yeah,
debris that
brush
they
and
actually
mud and
collected?
dirt.
Yeah.
I tell you what, the racing surface still looked pretty good after they cleaned it up.
It goes to show you that will there ever be cup racing there again? Probably not. But it just goes for Wall Stadium too. Like Dale Jr. went there one day. Look at the progress they did in one day with the backing that he could get. If they would just him and somebody else would just team up and buy a place like that. I'm not saying not that place, but buy a certain racetrack and do that. It could very easily be supported. You know.
Well, the thing is, I don't know how much money he himself has to do that, but as soon as he advertised it or created a GoFundMe or something to back it,
Exactly.
Redneck Nation is going to jump right on that.
I
And
say the support
And not
level.
even money. People to say, "Oh, you need the fence painted? I'm a painter. I'll come paint the fence for you, Dale Jr.
Yeah.
Oh, you need some landscaping done? I own a landscaping business. I'll come landscape it for you, Dale Jr. Just take a picture and stand next to my truck. You know what I'm saying? Like when Dale Jr.'s in, everybody's in. It's pretty cool how he gets the support behind him. Like Tim.
Every time somebody posts it, there's a lot because people always visit it. Whenever they go to that Metrolina Speedway, everybody always posts it. That's where his dad got his first asphalt win. Like, why wouldn't he? I mean, I'm sure they don't want $1 million for that place.
It's funny you bring that track up, Tim, is because sorry, I just cut you off, but I heard the final straw happen on that track now, and it's being
development.
Yeah, something's being built there now. It's totally done, and they moved on.
But it's been there 20 years
Yeah,
like that.
and he's been there before, but I don't know. I think Dale Jr.'s got some pretty smart advisors behind him, and they advise him not to buy racetracks. Yeah, where Tony Stewart just does wherever he wants and buys racing series left and right and racetracks and stuff like that. I think Dale Jr.'s got some smart people behind him managing his money. One of the things they say he absolutely cannot do is buy a racetrack.
buy all the junked race cars you can and stack them in your backyard, but Don't
But then
buy.
I'm thinking, I'm like, look, I'm looking at the pictures, I'm looking at the track. There's sections of grandstands. I'm sure some of them are falling out, but the front straightaway looks fine. You don't need 50,000 people. You just need enough for like 5,000 or 6,000 people. It's like cleaned up. It's like have some type of race there real quick. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't worry about the bathrooms. Bring in porta johns and bathroom trailers, and don't worry about the concession stands. Bring in food trucks and food trailers. Do it like a fair. Do it like a fair. You know, and
have a Ferris wheel.
Perfect time to have like a January Enduro or something there. You know what I'm saying?
I see what Scott's thinking already.
We don't need sweets or nothing fancy. You know, we don't care about that.
The town of North Wilkesboro has made it quite clear that they are there to help you in any way. They're not there to hurt you. You know, they're not going to tell you, no, you can't do this, or no, you can't do that. So
no, they would love to see something happen there. And I'm saying don't have a big race there, like a past late model race where they get 15 or to 20 late models, or something real quick, and just throw something together and have a race there. You know.
Yeah.
While it's clean, it's cleaned up. You know, do some laps.
Yeah.
I'm sure Dale Jr. was doing some laps around that track today, and something guarantee you on that. You know.
Oh, I did laps, and then Josh, you want to hear my North Wilkesboro story?
Let's go for it. I need a Riggleman story.
This was back we still had the camper, and we left. We were at Lisa's parents' house in North Carolina, and we were going to Bristol, and we had the camper, and we were going by North Wilkesboro. You literally drive right by North Wilkesboro. Scott, you know the name of the highway that you're on there?
No, I didn't go that way. When I came from Jersey, I went down 81. Isn't it 77 or something like that, or 74 or something like that?
I'm sure somebody on here will know and tell us.
Write it in the comments.
But they actually made an on and off ramp for when the track was there, but that's closed now. So you got to go past the track, and then get off, and then come back up the same amount of distance up to the country road.
Huh.
So that's what we did. We pulled in, and you just drive. It's like driving off the track, and driving off the road. You drive. The track is set back off the road a little bit, so you got to drive down this other road. And I always tell my wife and Scott, whenever we go to look at an old racetrack, there's always a way in. There's a hole in the fence. There's a ditch dug somewhere. There's some way to get into that.
Someone's been there before you, and they already made an entrance for you.
Yeah. So it was all locked up. And I know the story that if you found the guy, he'd let you in, but I wasn't waiting for no guy. There ain't no guy here, you know what I mean? So we're all over the place. I'm up and down the side looking for this hole to get in the fence. I'm up looking at the racetrack, me and Tizzy. And Tizzy was probably only like 3 at this time. The twins were still in the baby seats. And I hear this old ratty something or other coming down the street like an old gator or a lawnmower or something. I'm like, oh, we got caught. And guy's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm here just checking out the racetrack. He's like, oh, where are you headed? I'm like, I'm a spotter on the modified tour. We're going to Bristol. I just want to stop out the racetrack. He's like, hold on a minute. I'll go get the key. So he went and got the key to the gate. He just follow me. We drove around to the back of the facility where like the haulers would go across the track to get into the infield. He's like, follow me. So we went down. We parked in the infield. It was all cleaned up at this time. This is like right before the last people tried to open it up, where they were all painting it and everything. Mm-hmm. And we were the only ones there. He's like, go look. We walked around. I was up on top of the victory lane where it's, because they drove up on top of the building there, and in the garages and restaurants and all that other stuff. And I'm like, all right, we got to get going. He's like, go do a couple laps in your motorhome. So we did a couple laps in the motorhome around the track, and I got it to where the front wheels were screaming. I didn't want the simulators to blow off off the thing. So I slowed down. The only thing I didn't do, hindsight 2020, when I was pulling out, I should have stopped in the start finish line and taken a picture of the motorhome on the racetrack, but I didn't.
Did you go down pit road too?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I just looked it up, Tim. It's Route 421.
Okay. So that was my story, Josh.
I like that. It's funny how, it's that Southern hospitality, I guess, right?
How would you like to have that job, though? You just sit there on an abandoned racetrack and just make sure no one goes into it.
And by making sure no one goes in, you let people in.
Yeah, you let people in. And I'm sure you just got to keep the grass cut out front by the road or something like that,
I bet you there's people there at least once a week. I mean,
yeah,
once
without
a
a
week
doubt.
was out once a week. Or somebody on my Facebook page, it's there. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Oh yeah, I don't love people. Somebody stops there and they all take pictures and post it on their Facebook like they're doing something new. I'm like, I see this every day. It's the same pictures. Someone stops at the racetrack and takes pictures. You know?
That's why I like the Dale Jr. ones that I was talking to you about before. He's actually got different pictures that
Right.
he went in the buildings that you can't get into.
Right.
You know.
Well, yeah, that's.
I tell you what, that's got to be the most famous closed racetrack right now. Like that's the one that has the most attention on it for being closed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be isn't like Pikes Peak still? That track still got to be there, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's
Well,
a lot
there's
of racetracks.
Closed.
Uh,
Texas Motor Speedway, or
Nazareth's
World
still
Speedway.
there.
Nazareth's probably in our area is probably the second to North Wilkesboro, most accessed. People go look
Yeah.
at it.
And always a couple of times a year that the rumor comes back up that it's opening back up. Like it just never fades away. You know.
Hmm. Good luck.
I mean, there's people that still tell me, I was in Flemington, I had to ride by the old racetrack. Somebody probably rides by there every single day and says,
Yeah.
there's the old
Yeah,
racetrack.
because they need to get some bolts from Lowe's or something there.
All right, guys, that's pretty much NASCAR right now. There's not much going on in the NASCAR world. Real quick on the IndyCar thing, they did post a picture. I meant to send it to you, Josh. It was one of the Chip Ganassi's cars showing the new aero screen around the driver's compartment. Did you see that?
I didn't see probably the one you're talking about, but I'm listening.
It looks pretty cool. The only thing I don't like about it is they kind of like put graphics around the top of it and around the bottom of it and kind of made it hard to see the driver now. You know what I'm saying? Like they kind of like did the vinyl wrap or the livery or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
They kind of brought it up around the Lexan, the clear part of the Lexan, to make it like kind of look part of the body. And now it's a little harder to see the driver. I liked when it was fully clear.
Yes.
And you could still see the driver like it was an open wheel thing,
Well, that would make more sense.
I don't know if they just did this for his photo op and if Indy's going to leave the vinyl graphics like that, but I hope not. I hope whatever's Lexan there is clear. They shouldn't be allowed to put nothing on it. Maybe this like a sponsor name across the top of it or something, but leave it open so we can still see the driver. But I really like it. I think it's going to be great for the sport. It's really going to save lives. And it's really no big deal because the driver can still, climb out through the top and you can still see the top of his helmet and everything like that. So I think it's great, man. I really liked it. I meant to send it to you, Josh, and I didn't.
All right.
But maybe later you can post it on.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it.
Feed.
But I would like to see their names maybe across.
Yeah, like how we do with the factory stocks across the windshield and NASCAR does across the windshield. But that's it. Like when you'll see it. Like it's like 6 or 7 inches from the bottom of the Lexan and 6 or 7 inches down from the top of the Lexan. So you're just leaving a little clear space, and now you can't really see the driver as much. But like I said, I don't know if that's something official or if this is something they did for, maybe like a sponsor appearance or something like that. But, I still want to be able to see the driver when they go by. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you don't want to think it's an automated,
Yeah, that's one of the things about NASCAR. When me and Tim first started growing up watching NASCAR, you could see the driver inside because the roof, the windows were so big. You can see him in there sawing the wheel. I to this day I can still picture Kelly Yarborough sawing the wheel around the racetrack. And as the cars got smaller and smaller, the roof got lower and lower, and then you couldn't see the drivers in the cars anymore.
And now with the containment seats, which good for safety.
Yeah, it's real tough to see them, and we lost vision of the drivers now in the race cars in the Cup Series, and I don't want to lose vision of the drivers in the Indy cars. I mean, back 100 years ago when they had the convertible series, that was the appeal of the convertible series back in the day. You could see the driver driving the race car.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you could also see the driver come out of the race car when the car started flipping. That was the other problem with the convertible series. But yeah, check that out. That's
what team was that?
I think it was Chip Ganassi's.
Okay.
I might be able to send it to you, Josh, but I don't want to bore our listeners with that. So really, that's all we got on the national level. We did get a little bit of a late start today because we were all watching the Snowball Derby down in Pensacola, Florida. It rained out yesterday on Sunday. So they ran today, Monday at 4 p.m. They started the race, and they did something real cool, Josh. What do you think about this? And what they did is you could have bought like a video pass to watch live video of the race all weekend down there. Okay. But it was like $39. It was like $39 for the whole weekend to watch it. And that's great for a guy that lives in Wisconsin or something like that. You pay $39. You sit home in 10-degree weather and you watch the race. It's a great deal. But what the track did, what I thought was really, really, really super cool, anybody that bought a ticket to the race and couldn't make it back to the race because the race got rained out on Sunday and moved to Monday, they gave them a free video pass.
Okay. I like that.
Instead of refunding their money for their ticket, they gave them a free video pass. So now, say you got to leave and you go to work and you got an office job, you can watch the race home in your office on the TV for free because you got this video pass. And that's another reason they didn't start the race till 4 o'clock. They were waiting for people to get home from work so they can watch the race on their free video pass to make up for
Who
them.
gets out of work at 4?
Well, 4:20. You know. I'm just saying, I thought it was really cool that they thought that way. You know, it was real nice of them to do that. You know.
Then they put it on Facebook for free anyway.
Yeah, but I only saw it with 20 to go. Did you see the whole thing?
I watched the whole race.
Did you really?
Yeah. Apparently they said that wherever that Pensacola, wherever that's located in Florida, the naval base was the security on the computer. The internet was hacked, so they couldn't use the internet there or something. They couldn't use like cable. They had to use the Wi-Fi. So they put it on Facebook so nobody got ripped off. Everybody could watch it.
Yeah, I mean it's a smart thing. This way they don't have to worry about refunding anybody money or having problems. Just put it out. Yeah, but by then you're getting no new subscribers. Whatever money you made, now you just throw it out. I feel bad for the people that did pay the money, and now we got to see it for free where they had to pay for it. But then again, they seen from Thursday, racing from Thursday, so they already got their money's worth out of it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I thought it was a real cool race. I love, that's one of the races on my bucket list where when I finally done driving and I just become a race fan, it's one of the races I definitely want to go to. I've heard about that race all my life. But it turned into a little bit of a crash fest there in the end, a lot of wrecking down there. It was won by Stephen Naistim in the 51. I think he ended up winning the race with a green-white checker to go. Ty Majeski was leading with 2 laps to go, and he said in his interview afterward, he was getting great restarts, great launches, and taking off. He said they were saying so much stuff to him over the radio, like slow down, speed up, slow down, and he didn't want to get penalized for jumping the start, so he slowed down. And then when he took off, he spun his tires because they made him slow down so much. And when he spun his tires, he got wiped out from behind and wrecked the whole field. So, sometimes we have problems with the tower, with the yellows coming out late.
Like when I'm spotting for Jimmy at Wall on the restart.
Yeah, so it's another one of those things where the officials kind of caused the big wreck. You know what I'm saying? Just let the racers race, and he was even saying that. He's like, it should be like NASCAR restarts. You have a box, and once I'm in that box, I go when I want to go. And that's one thing we do at Wall. We have a box between 3 and 4, and the leader's allowed to take off in that box. And they were trying to dictate his restart so much where it screwed him up and he spun the tires and the whole field got wrecked with 2 laps to go. So sometimes the officials need to let the racers just race. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I get if they don't want the jackrabbit kind of start, but
I tell you what, he was starting clean. He was just launching, and the other people weren't. That's not his problem.
Yeah.
Half the time the leader gets penalized or yelled at for jumping the start. He didn't. The other guy spun the tires. The other guy was sleeping. You know what I'm saying?
And of course, the leader is going to get a little jump because he's the one that starts the race. That's his reward for being the leader. And Ty Majeski, he lost a half a straightaway lead because the yellow came out. So who cares if he gets to start? Gets a jump of 2 or 3 cars. He earned that.
Yeah. Yep.
So all right, well, that's my rant about that. All right, we're just going to move on to Wall Stadium. We had a rain out situation where the Sunday portion of Turkey Derby got rained out last week, and they moved it to Saturday of the last weekend, just a couple of days ago. And it was a great day for racing. I mean, it was chilly. Don't get me wrong. It was 35, 36 degrees, but it wasn't too windy. The sun was out. It was shining. It was a nice, cool, crisp day. It was kind of a good day to go racing over there. It was kind of fun over there. I had a blast.
Well, you were
my brother Tim was in
double, triple duty, Scott?
Yeah, I had 3 cars there. I had my factory stock, I had Nancy's factory stock, and then we drug out our Enduro car to race with the dirt Outlaw stock. So I had 3 cars there, but they were all prepared and ready to go. It wasn't too much more work. I did have a friend tow the dirt car over there, so I had help, and a couple of guys came and helped me from the Outlaw Enduro Series. Joe Biederman and Tim Jones, they raced the Outlaw Enduro Series. They came from Pennsylvania to give me a hand. So I had crew help. my day actually went pretty good.
How many cars did they start in the factory stock, Scott?
Well, see, that's the problem. There was 22 cars there, and they started all 22, which I think is too many, Josh. I don't think they should. I don't think they should start over 20. I think 20 is a good number. What do you think?
I wasn't prepared for that.
No, we had 22 cars there, and we all started. I mean, we still did have heat races because heat races did matter because where you finish in your heat races, where you start in the feature. So heat races were necessary. It was a great day of racing. It really was. I mean, we had 22 factory stocks. I think we had 10 or 11 in the Outlaw Enduro stocks. There wasn't many legend cars there either, or was there, Josh?
No,
There's like
we were
9.
talking about that.
Really?
Yeah.
They used to get 30 or 40.
The legend cars went from last week having the biggest field to this weekend having the shortest field, besides the
Yeah, that was a little disappointing. I thought they would draw from all over.
Maybe there was something going on down south.
You never know. They could have been the Hinex banquet or something. We don't know.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? They could
I
have been a race in Florida.
I think a lot of people planned for last weekend, and when
That's it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they weren't prepared to travel again or something like that. So, it was a little unfortunate with their car count, but it went a lot faster because the legends are either all green or a bunch of red flags, and they had a fairly smooth race. So that wasn't too bad.
I mean, the whole race program went pretty quick. I mean, our race, the factory stock race, had a bunch of yellows, nothing major, but it did have a lot of yellows. It kind of ruined the flow of the race a little bit,
Yeah. Honestly, the longest caution, I believe, was you, Scott.
Yeah,
the Dirt Outlaw Stock race. Yeah. We'll have to rate to that race then. Let's talk about the Dirt Outlaw Stock race. And very first lap, they went 3 wide on the back straightaway, and a car spun, and I slowed down to miss the spinning car, and the guy behind me did not slow down, and he nailed me right in the left rear wheel and broke the axle, snapped the axle right off. And when my car stopped, they got this new law now, like when you get in a wreck, you're not allowed out of your car unless it's on fire or something like that, so you got to sit in the car while the track crew's working on it. So I'm sitting there on the track, and they're trying to load the car up, and they're having trouble, Well, here's the problem. I was telling them to just open the trunk lid and hook it to they bought the tow truck over first.
Yeah.
And I said, just open the trunk lid and hook to the hoop bar in the back and just lift it up and drag me off, But the problem was they couldn't get the trunk lid open. When I got hit, it bent and broke the hood pin, where the hood pin was actually stuck into the post of the hood pin, and they couldn't get it out, and they couldn't get the trunk lid open to get in there the straps. So now they want to hook underneath. They want to hook to the bumper, but the bumper's half ripped off, so that's not going to hold. So I said, all right. So I said to John Russell, who's the head track crew guy, I said, John, can I get out of the car and give you guys a hand? He's like, yeah. So the other problem is my car was half on the banking and half on the flat. So when they're trying to get the flatbed under it, the corner of the flatbed's hitting the banking and not letting the bed get low enough to get underneath the rear of the car because the rear's sitting right on the ground now.
It was a perfect storm.
Right, it was a tough situation. Then I'm like, John, we'll just turn around and grab it from the front and drag it up. And we were already positioned in the back, so they didn't want to take the time to do that. So I got out, I hooked the chains to the rear. I said, all right, now we just got to lift it up. And now we need 2 blocks of wood. Well, they had 1 block of wood, and that wasn't high enough, so they had to find the second block of wood. I put that under the rear of the car, and that lifted up the rear high enough to get the bed underneath it, and then we pulled it on. But it just took us a little while to find the equipment we needed to get it done, and we finally got it off. But it was pretty funny. I could hear the announcer saying, Scott Riggleman owns a towing company. He's out loading his own car up. But the problem was, the reason I got out is because once I got the chains hooked up, the shock mount hangs low in those rears, Josh, the stock rears. Well, they had the bed up against my shock, and he's trying to pull the winch, and he's bending my rear. I'm like, oh. My shock mount is up against the bed. It ain't going to pop over. Then they're trying to lift the car up to get it to pop over the edge of the bed, and get it on. I said, it's not going to work. I said, we got to lift it up, and we got to put wood under it and get the bed under it. And then once we did that, we were fine.
Yeah,
it was nobody's fault. People were like, oh, you should train the track crew. You should do that. The track crew was doing everything right. It was a bad situation.
Yeah.
It was a perfect storm for a hard way to load the car because number one, they had it right with the tow truck at first. They were going to lift, open the trunk lid and just lift up on the bars, and we would have been gone in 2 seconds. But the way the body got damaged, and Josh, I've never seen it like where the hood pin goes through the post. It was broke off on both sides. There was like an inch of the pin still in the hole, and we couldn't get get it out. They got no tools in it. And when I got home, I was able to hit it with a couple hammers, and it came right out. But on the track, we had nothing to work with. It's just it was a bad deal.
Yeah, it's honestly that loading your car up took longer than the race did. If you look at I think it was like a 10-minute race. If you look at just the green flag period, and it was probably 25 minutes of fighting with the car. Which now we can kind of look back and laugh, but I felt bad for you. It just, the whole situation from.
I was actually curious to see how you were going to do against those guys.
Yeah.
I know they were a lot lighter and they got more horsepower and stuff, but I tell you what, when we went down into the first corner and I watched them all push up the track and go squirrely, and my car's fine, and I'm like half throttle catching them. I'm like, I'm going to be okay here. That's an old Wall Stadium factory stock that I kind of changed over to a dirt enduro car, and I rolled out on that track with DOT tires on it in practice and did a 16.1. And a good time yesterday in the factory stocks was a 15.9, 16.0. So I was right there on DOT tires. And I think the best time of an Outlaw stock was like 15.7 with the two fast cars, and they ended up wrecking each other on the last lap. I think I would have been right there, but unfortunately, my race was over before it even got started, really.
So now, obviously, somebody should have backed off on that first lap when they were 3 wide. The question is who?
Right. You're right. And no one did. And the car and I seen it coming because going down the back straightaway, I'm like, this ain't going to work. And I already backed off 2 car lengths going in. I slowed down when the car spun, and I went to go into the infield, and I just got nailed from behind.
Yeah, in hindsight, if you could have predicted it better, which you really couldn't. You didn't have much else to go. It would have been going high.
I did everything right that I can do. You can't control somebody else just running into the back. You know what I'm saying? You just can't control it. So I was a victim of circumstances, but still, it was cool though. I'm definitely going to do it next year. I definitely will bring a dirt Outlaw stock again. It was fun. It was cool racing a 50 lapper with my factory stock, and then pulling in the pits and jumping right out of that and jumping into another car and going back out on the track. It was exciting. It was fun.
Yeah, and the Outlaw stock race was actually overall pretty good. After that spin, I know Todd had to start in the back, and he made a good charge up to third, and then gave a pretty hard shot to the second place car, which transferred to the leader, Parker, was it? And
Parker.
Yeah, and
John Parker.
Yeah, and turned him around. So he went back to the rear for that. And then Stanzione ended up pulling off a little bit later, and Todd worked his way all the way back up to second. And him and Darren Cox were racing pretty good for the lead on the last couple laps. And they were side by side going into 3, and it looked like Todd held it down, to be honest. And Darren came down.
I watched the video of it. It looked like Darren came down on him, and Todd did everything he could do not to hit him, and they just got together. But it's last lap, last set of corners. They're both going for it.
It sucks that it happened, but at the same time, to see that happen and then the third place car get the win, it's an exciting turnaround for the fans and everything. It makes the announcer's job a lot easier, I think.
Darren just turned down on him and didn't let off of him. He stayed on him.
Yeah.
You got the top 10 for that race, Josh?
I should somewhere. Let's see.
But that's what I mean. While you're looking for that, I knew I wasn't going to be the fastest car bringing that enduro car that racing against Outlaw stocks, but I knew, because I know the track pretty good and I could set it up similar to my factory stock, that if they had tire problems or handling problems and were crashing problems, I could hang around there and get a top 3. Tim O'Shea did it last year. Tim O'Shea finished 3rd last year with an old factory stock on DOT tires.
Didn't Rob Longo do really well last year with it, doing the same thing?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. So, the race went the way I needed to go to get a good finish. The only problem was I was in the very first wreck and ended my day early.
Josh, were you supposed to be in that race?
I don't know what you're talking about, Tim.
Yeah. Maybe next year. Get ready for next year, Josh. You got 365 days to get ready for next year.
Honestly, I'm gonna see if I can actually start putting in some extra hours, and I'm gonna try to save up some money and get my trailer fixed up, and then worry about fixing up my car as well. Trailer first, so I have something to tow with.
But maybe if you get your truck and trailer squared away, maybe Felber will let you drive that car on dirt as well. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe, yeah. So we'll see how it pans out. But one thing at a time. I don't want to overwhelm myself with it. So let's worry about.
Oh, God forbid if you don't overwhelm yourself.
Well, I got.
Josh, I was in my garage 12 hours yesterday working on my car. Just overwhelm yourself. That's the only way it's going to get done.
Yeah, no, you have a point. It needs new axles and new tires and stuff like that. So honestly, it shouldn't be too bad from there. And then I got to drop my car off at Scott's so he can, go to town on it.
The driveway with all the other ones.
He's got everything rebuilt. What do you got planned for this winter, Scott? Everything rebuilt now.
Well, I'm going to work a little bit more on the 41, and then I'm going to bring the 7X in. I think we're going to give that the overhaul this winter. And we want to get the body off that and see what's going on underneath that body, because you don't remember that's a hand-me-down car too. So the best way to get a look at these factory stocks sometimes is just take the body off. And when you take the body off, you're like, oh my God, that weld's cracked. That bar is no good. There's got to be a bar here,
Mm-hmm.
That car handles so good, I'd be afraid to touch it.
Yeah, but I mean, just cosmetic-wise, and I got to put a full containment seat in. It doesn't have a full containment seat. I want to move the battery.
And
the
a fire
battery's
system,
in a bad
right?
spot. That's what they're talking about.
That'll be fun.
So there's a few things that I want to do to that car that can make it even better than it is. I'm going to put a newer fuel cell in it. The fuel cell in it's real old. And that car needs some TLC. I know Tim, from the outside looking in, the car runs great, handles great, and wins all the time. But man, when I get that thing up on the lift and I start looking around, I'm like, man, what a hunk of junk.
All right, so the top 10 for the Outlaw Stocks.
How bad that car is.
Jeremy Dorr gets the win, followed by Jeff Dirks, John Parker, Todd Deege, Chris Felber, Paul Donahue, Glenn Holden, Steve Mangano, Darren Cox, Jerry Stanzione, and Scott Riggleman.
Bringing up the rear.
Yeah.
I made the RPM podcast top 10 now. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
All right, what you guys want to do the factory stocks next?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, 22 cars took the field, which is a little excessive. It was a good race. The only bad thing about the way they do it, sometimes the fast cars get to start up front. Like Shannon, don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything away from Shannon, and we had plenty of restarts to beat him. But when you put the fast cars up front, he's able to take off and walk away with it. But Joe Manjo did get up there, and we had plenty of restarts where Joe started second on the outside of Shannon. There was even times where I was third right on Shannon on restarts, and I couldn't do nothing with him. He was definitely the fastest car on the track and ran a great race. There were some exciting moments, a lot of spins and stuff like that, bringing out the yellows. One of the exciting things I saw on the racetrack is I'm behind Brian O'Shea, who's been super fast lately.
Yep.
And him and Ricky Collins got together coming off of 3, and it looked like Ricky just got loose off of 3 and just kept the wheel turn and ran him right down in the infield. It was like the gates opened up for me because I'm behind 2 cars. Next thing I know, they're going down in the infield, and I got a clear racetrack in front of me, and I just go past them. And I don't know what happened after that. I couldn't see it because I passed the wreck. But then I just heard on the radio that they were yelling. I think they were yelling at 16, "You're done for the day."
Yeah, they black flagged him, and then he went back on for a lap or 2, and then he finally pulled off.
Because I kept hearing 16, "You're done for the day." 16, "You're done for the day." But then someone was telling me that, I don't know if it's true or not, that Brian Osborne might have got black flagged or DQ'd too. And I thought maybe I was hearing 15, "You're done for the day," but it was the 16 they were calling, right?
Yeah, it was the 16. And looking at replays of it, Ricky got a little loose and slid just a little high, and Brian got his nose in there. And I mean, honestly, I wasn't in the car, but it looks pretty much like Ricky just said no, turned left, and drove them both to the infield. And now I saw Ricky door slam you pretty darn hard, Scott.
Yeah, that's what people were saying. I don't remember that. People said he got me going in the 1 and pushed me halfway up the track.
Yeah.
I don't remember quite.
I thought you were going to give it back to him. It was that hard.
Oh, really? I raced a real smart race where I didn't let people get in my head like that. There was even one time I was on the outside of Waylon Spears coming off of 4. He just come up like I wasn't there, and I had to hit the brakes or I would have been in the wall. And I just, it was early in the race, and I knew it was a 50 lapper, and I just used my experience to just keep my focus on making it to the end,
I thought the race was pretty good, but like you said, there were some dumb spins and people just got into each other. But I mean, it was a lot of close racing. I would have preferred to see a few less cautions. a couple cars. What was it? Neil Rutt in Jerry Koenig's car went. What was it, like 19th to 4th or something?
I tell you what, if you get restarted on the inside, you can really make up ground. You get restarted on the outside, you're in a little bit of trouble. I mean, there was one time I was up to like 6th or something like that, and I started on the outside. Next thing I know, I was like 12th. I'm like, oh, I'm screwed here because they just freight trained me on the inside. Then I go on the comes out, and I'm restarting like 11th, and now I'm on the inside, and I blow right by all the cars that blew by me that were stuck up on the outside. You know, I passed a lot of fast cars. Before I know it, I got up to 3rd. You know, and unfortunately, I did get caught on the outside again, and I fell back to 5th. But I mean, I had a top 5. It was a great run. You know, but I don't think it was my car because, you know, I could easily say my car wasn't good on the outside, but then I can defend myself by saying I passed the cars that passed me back when they were stuck on the outside. I was able to pass them back on the inside. I just don't think the outside was very good Saturday because you figure all the sticky stuff was wore off from the modified races the week before. You know, they didn't reapply that stuff for a Sunday show for us. And because of the coldness and there's no modified rubber on the track, the outside wasn't that great Saturday.
Yeah, I mean,
it was fun. It was fun. It was good up there. You could drive up there, but it was hard to pass and go forward on the outside. You really needed the inside.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I saw that. I mean, the track obviously didn't look all dark and everything in the High Line.
And I'll tell you what, my heat race, I ran on the outside of Billy Both practically the whole race. You know what I'm saying? So the outside wasn't bad during the heat races because I think it was a little bit warmer and the sun was a little bit hotter, but come feature time, the sun was going down and the outside lanes got bad.
Yeah. I mean, it was cold. So, I mean, I saw a lot of cars, I mean, obviously in the Outlaw stocks, but in the factory stocks, a lot of guys were going into one and just sliding way up, like washing out pretty good.
So do you know what happened to Brian Osborne? Did he drop out or did they say something to him towards the end of the race?
I didn't hear anything about him on that. Nothing stands out to me. A few things, which maybe I can find audio recordings, not right now, but for a later show. Eric Graham saying, coming to the green for 10, take 3. I don't know if you heard that at all. On the race, because there were. I mean, it was good hearing Eric Graham back on the receiver. I've missed that, and it was pretty entertaining. That and even in the Outlaw stock race, he's like, "Well, I'm pretty sure I'm only talking to the 69 now." So, because none of them had.
Which I didn't like because he even said for the 1 or 2 people that could hear me, I guess a lot of people's receivers weren't working in that race. But mine worked, so I waved out the window. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I can hear you. You know, I'm prepared for class. You know, but the factory stock race was a lot of fun. I got through it pretty good. And, you know, a top 5 at Turkey Derby is always a good thing. A car in one piece is always a good thing. I had 2 cars in the race. Nancy finished on the lead lap, which was her goal, which is pretty impressive in a 50-lapper when you got people like Joe Maggio, Shannon Maggio, Neil Rutt, Elliott Wall, Scott Riggleman running up front. You know, you really got all the mail because when the green flag comes out, you're almost a half a track behind to begin with, and for her to stay on the lead lap,
she drove a very smart race, and the cautions helped too.
And the cautions definitely helped because one time we were catching, we're just about the lapper, and the caution saved her, so that was good. But yeah, her goal was to leave there in one piece and on the lead lap, and she was able to do that.
Yeah, well, she definitely had a better weekend than the previous one, and the car looked nice.
Yeah, I got it straightened out pretty good. That's the nose piece that was in. I straightened the fender. But a quick story. I see Tim falling asleep over there. But a quick story. 99% of the times I order all my parts from Mike's Performance, but the one MD3 bumper kit he cannot get. All-Star doesn't sell it, so I got to order it through Speedway. So I'm ordering the bumper through Speedway, so I might as well order the nose piece too. Mm-hmm. And we ordered it Saturday morning, so it would be here in time for me to fix it, for this weekend. And Wednesday, the bumper shows up, but no nose cover. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll go out there and I'll get the bumper on, get it painted. And Thursday, the nose piece will be here. Thursday, no nose piece. Friday morning, I get up. I'm like, you know what? I know this nose piece is going to show up Friday, but it might be like 6 o'clock at night. The UPS guys are so busy with this Christmas stuff right now.
Yeah.
I said, let me go out and start messing with the old nose piece. Maybe I can straighten it out enough to get it on the car. And it took me all day. Like I'm heating it with a torch and pushing it out. And I did have the new screens, the mesh grills, I had them. So I took the bent ones off and I drilled a couple holes here and put some zip ties here. And before I know it, the nose piece looked pretty good, and I got it back on the car. Sure enough, I come walking out of the garage, walk around the corner of my front porch, the new nose piece is sitting there. I was so busy in the garage, I never checked to see if the nose piece was on the front porch. So I was able to fix the old ones. At least we have another one in stock now if we need one in a hurry, or if anybody needs one in a hurry.
Yeah. But I think it's good having it in stock. So yeah.
But yeah, I was pretty surprised how, and that car was wrecked pretty good, and I was able to straighten it out where it looked like it was never wrecked. But trust me, it took me a good 8-hour day getting that thing back to normal, Plus, we changed the transmission. We put her good transmission back in and returned the transmission we borrowed from Tim O'Shea. We did that on Wednesday night.
The torque converter you changed on that, right?
Well, we had to change the transmission because the transmission wasn't mine. I bought.
When you put her good transmission back in, it was just a new torque converter, right?
Yeah, it needed a new torque converter, so we changed everything.
All right, top 10 of the factory stock.
All right. I'll get to it. Factory stock feature.
Do you have our picks? I know I picked myself.
I picked you too.
Hang on. Let me open another. Where is it? Turkey Derby picks. Where is it? Legends. Factory stocks. Yeah. The two you picked, Scott. I picked Elliott. And Elliott had they were calling it the Adventures of Elliott Wall.
Yeah, they were.
He got turned around. He got put to the rear a couple times and was driving back. And then he would get caught up in some other disaster. And yeah, he had to work for it. That's for sure.
And that's a cool thing about the 50 lappers too. Like if you do get spun on like lap 20, don't panic. You still got plenty of time to get back up there.
I do see that Brian Osborne did not complete the last 10 laps. So I don't know if he had something else wrong with the car. We'll have to look into that.
That is a brand new car. They might just be working some bugs out of that car, but it's a beautiful car. It came out really nice. That's actually Whitey Miller's old car, Josh. That's what the car that is. Yeah. They totally redid that car. Really, really nice. I know Friday of last week they had the rear end was leaking, gear oil and stuff like that, and they fixed that. And then when he was waiting online to go out on the track, the rocker arm broke or fell off or something like that, so he wasn't able to make the race. And then he came back this week, and I think he made 30 or 40 laps of the 50 lapper, and I guess he had another little.
He does very well out there.
Yeah, he's a great driver. Yeah,
I mean,
he's gonna be fun to race with next year. Him and Neil. Now Neil's got a factory stock. I had fun racing with Neil. Me and him raced together for a long time in that race.
I think Neil actually made it up to second at one point.
Yeah, there again though. Then he's on the outside, and and I was fourth behind him.
Hang on, this is well because I don't have the official Jeff Gravatt release because Jeff Gravatt wasn't at the track.
Oh, really?
I didn't see Earl Krause or Jeff Gravatt.
Yep, I agree with Josh. I don't think they were there either.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was Tim Catalfamo, Big Jim, and Gary Larson.
Gary. They did a great job.
That's a cool lineup, though. Cool lineup, though. But
yeah, I know Big Jim's more familiar with the dirt stuff, but he did a pretty good
job.
But
he helped because the dirt cars were there.
Yes.
So it was a plus to have them there.
Yeah. So they did a pretty good job, and they distributed the duties pretty well. And you come to the demo derbies, and Tim Catalfamo was down on the flag stand calling the demo derbies, which was he did a pretty good job. I don't know if that was his first time doing the demos, but I got to give him credit trying to get the crowd going and all that. So we have so who won the factory stock feature?
Shannon Monjo.
Okay, that's where the problem is here. Okay, so Shannon Monjo, Joe Monjo, Neil Rutt III, Elliott Wall, Scott Riggleman, Mike Montano, Tom Rishkowski, Eric Bodenschatz. Actually, no, that wasn't Eric in that car. That was
Dave Green.
Dave Green, that's right. Billy Both and Brian O'Shea is your top 10. Yeah, I mean, that was a good field of cars there. Nancy, it looks like, finished 17th there.
Yep. One piece and on the lead lap. That's all I can ask for.
Yeah. And Joe McGrath was driving Elliott's new car.
Yeah, that was just a shakedown. Elliott finally got his brand new car done. That was supposed to be done for opening night, and it was done for the very last night. So
Yeah.
it'll be done for opening night here. So he put his friend Joe McGrath in there. Joe drives a Legend car mostly on Saturday nights at Wall Stadium. So they put that out there just to shake it down, and check the brakes work and the oil, make sure nothing leaks and stuff like that. And the car looked beautiful, a well-built car,
Yeah.
very nice car. It just looks identical to his other car, though. They are identical, so Elliot has a brand new car ready to go for next year.
So do you think he's going to sell the old one, or?
He said he'd sell both of them if someone came along with the money. You know what I'm saying? But no, I think he's going to hold on to both of them. I really do.
I'll rent a ride. Anyway, all right. So we mentioned the Legends only had 9 cars. They didn't have a bad feature. Just they got strung out pretty quick, which is to be expected. Let's see. So I'll give the top 10 because there's not too much to talk about. A couple. Let's see. Mike, what's that, Tim?
Just go to top 10 and we'll work from there.
Okay.
Top 9. There's only 9.
Yeah, exactly. So Mike Alcaro shows up and wins in typical Alcaro fashion. Daniel Carter, Reagan Parent, Joey Brown, Joe McGrath, Anthony Calandro, the number 97, because there's no name associated with it, Ryan Himes, Charlie Hodge, and Mason McGee, who usually does pretty well. But I think he had some trouble. I didn't get to follow. I was also trying to eat my burger at that time, too. So I didn't get to watch much of the Legend race. I'm a bad reporter.
Did they run out of food or anything like that, Tim? Would they be the last day?
No, they didn't run out. They didn't have like at the end of the day where it was buy 2 get 1 free or anything like that. So they must have had it.
Was there anything missing from the menu, or was like Johnny and Debbie O's trailers missing?
I had a pork, egg, and cheese. The girls had their standard chicken fingers and French fries. They had homemade tomato soup and a couple other things on special. So everything was status quo. Everything was right where it should be. They had all their specials and all their normal food. I think it was everything was right on par with the way it's been all year.
Somewhere that was Dollar Dog Day too. Is that true?
Yeah, if it was, they weren't saying it, and I would have bought it. But the only thing I didn't buy that I wanted to try was Johnny and Debbie O's meatball sandwiches, because they are really, really good, and I didn't get one of those all weekend.
I like meatball sandwiches, but they're hard to eat, man. They're messy.
Yeah, they get all over you.
Yeah, I stay away from that because the sauce gets all over your hands, and next thing you know, it's on your clothes, and just meatball sandwiches are something to just be eating at home.
Okay. I had some burgers. I had a coffee, which got cold too fast. I mean, not the track's fault. It was the weather's fault.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they were doing some business there. It looked like.
Oh, they had pierogies, which were good, Scott.
Did they really?
Yeah, they had pierogies, and Gary got a brisket sandwich that looked really good. He said it was good, but like Josh said, about the time he got halfway through, it was cold.
Yeah.
That's not the track's fault. That's because you're eating it in the freezer. But the pierogies were good. They weren't Pocono good, but they were good.
All right, Josh. Dirt Sportsman.
Dirt Sportsman. They had a whopping 4 cars.
A good race. But a good race.
Really?
Yeah. They stayed together. The top 3 stayed together pretty close.
Just real quick, Josh. The reason they might have only had 4 cars and what might have really hurt their car count was Bridgeport's banquet was the same day.
Right. And
a lot of them had prior commitments to go down to the banquet.
Yeah, which is understandable. You can't, do anything about the weather. But now I did actually bring the camera out and film the final lap or lap and a half because Kessler was in second.
My opinion is Cody waited about 2 laps too late. He should have tried to. He actually drove a pretty good race.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's aggressive. He needed to be a little bit more aggressive 2 laps earlier than he should have than he did because he was trying to hook the corner coming off a 4 and get down the front straightaway. They just couldn't get underneath of him. He tried though.
Oh yeah, I thought it was a great battle. It just he didn't have a way to get around him. He was trying to get
Yeah.
under him, and he just couldn't. I mean, unless he did a dive bomb, and he thought better of it. Which I mean, it was a close race. He was on there. They were touching bumpers. It was.
Yeah, he needed to give him a shot. Like the last 2 laps, he gave him a shot in the middle of the corner, like you got to get underneath of him.
Yeah, yeah.
He needed to do that like 2 laps earlier, get that guy more squirrely. But all in all, he ran the guy clean.
Well,
All right, Josh, here's what the RPM podcast top 4 then.
All right, so getting the win was Rob Anderton, followed by Dakota Kessler, Jeff Parker, and Ray Woodall. Yeah, it was a good race. It's a shame they didn't have more cars for that, but
I
like
know
you said,
that beautiful red car. I think it's a 59 or something like that. He comes all the way down from Bethel. He's a Bethel guy, so I was happy to see him return too. He made the trip all the way back down.
the factory stock.
No, the Sportsman. There's a red Sportsman.
Okay. Oh, I'm trying. Yeah, I'll have to look at that.
The red 58.
58.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
he
beautiful car.
At first I thought that might have been Bucky Kell. Remember Bucky Kell used to race that?
Yeah. And that guy tows with a beautiful red dually pickup truck and a beautiful red open trailer
That ramp
matches
trailer.
in the car. Yeah, the over ramp trailer, or like a wedge type trailer that the ramps go up over the wheels. It's just a beautiful setup. That caught my eye when I raced that Enduro up at Bethel. He was up there racing. I actually followed him up the highway to the racetrack, and it was cool seeing him down for Turkey Derby. It's just a beautiful setup. Like everything matches, everything's clean, and he came all the way back for the Sunday race as well. So it was cool to see him come down.
One thing I wanted to say, I told Scott this morning when I talked to him on the phone, all the divisions, even the Turkey, even the Demolition Derby, which we have to get to yet. Did you notice, Josh, that they were all very proud to win on Turkey Derby?
Yes.
That's cool. That Turkey Derby means a lot to people that you don't think it means a lot. Like the Demolition Derby guys, they were beside themselves because they won Turkey Derby. You know what I mean?
Plus, I paid $1,500.
Well, I know that, but the tradition part of it.
Yeah, tradition, without a doubt.
It was good.
Yeah.
It's just, I know we don't talk about football in here, but it's just no different than the teams that play on the NFL on Thanksgiving Day. They all want to win and eat the turkey leg, and it's just Thanksgiving's getting bigger and bigger. It's almost as big as Christmas now. You know what I'm saying?
I still think it's
for sports, I should say, not really for decorations or anything like that, but for sports, it's like there's a lot of Thanksgiving classic type racing and football games and everything else. I even see now there's like a lot of motorcycle races. There's even one called the Turkey Derby for motorcycle races.
There's like 4. If you type in Turkey Derby, Google search, not only Wall Stadium comes up, there's all kinds of stuff that come up.
Yeah.
Well, as far as the actual holiday itself is concerned, I think Thanksgiving is a tier 3 holiday. I mean, Christmas is a tier 1.
And what's tier 2? I like Halloween. Halloween's one of my
I think
favorite.
Halloween's still a tier 1. A tier 2 would be like a St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, for me, at least.
You're a drinker.
I think it depends on who you talk. All depends. That's all a matter of opinion. Yeah.
But you know what kills St. Patty's Day?
That you don't have
I
off
never
from
know
work?
when I don't know when the actual day is, because around here, the whole month of March, there's parades every weekend. So it's hard to pinpoint the day because they start. It's really the whole month of March, and basically my St. Patty's Day starts when the Shamrock Shake comes out.
Yeah. Oh, I do love a Shamrock Shake.
That's the only bad thing about St. Patty's Day is that where Thanksgiving, it's that Thursday, it's the third Thursday or fourth Thursday of every November, and Christmas is December 25th. Like off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you what the date is in St. Patty's Day is. I just know it's in March.
17th.
March 17th. But like I say, March 5th, they have the Belmar St. Patty's Day.
Oh, yeah.
March,
it takes over the whole
month.
month. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes over the whole month.
You could use the argument, too, of Christmas. I mean, there's Christmas crap out well before Thanksgiving even starts.
Oh, in October, there's I mean, you'll see by Halloween they're removing the Halloween stuff from the stores and putting it on
Now, I
clearance.
think Halloween is becoming more.
I love Halloween. I always did.
People are putting lights up, like Christmas lights for Halloween, and and everything
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. You see a lot of like black and orange and brown
Yeah.
Halloween lights now.
Oh yeah,
Now,
we
in my area here, in my opinion, there's not a lot of Christmas lights up yet. Doesn't seem like a lot of people are putting Christmas lights up.
mine are up.
We never take them down, so they're always up.
Oh, I do, but ouch. I'll give you that
No, but
one.
have you noticed that I don't think there's that many Christmas lights out.
It's weird. Like my neighbor did his house up pretty nice. But then another neighbor put like one or two strands up across his front gutter, and they were on once. So they're up, but I mean he doesn't turn them on. I don't know if he.
I tell you what, on 571, real quick, this one I noticed this about 10 years ago. This guy does a real cool decoration. It's not a Christmas decoration. It's actually a New Year's Eve decoration. He's got he made his own like ball drop, like like in Times Square. Yeah, yeah. If you're ever on 571, it's real cool. And right now it's lit up. The ball's up, and on the bottom it says 2019 lit up. And then you go by there New Year's Day and it says 2020. He changes it. Like it's really cool. It looks just like the one in New York City right on his front yard. It's pretty cool. It's if you go out 571, it's right before you get to. If you're coming from Tom's River and you're going out towards Great Adventure, it's on your right-hand side right before you get to 537 where the Sunoco's gas station is. Just keep looking to your right. I think you go underneath 195 and then keep looking to your right and you'll see it in the guy's front yard on the right-hand side. It's pretty cool.
I'll have to check it out next time I'm out that
So
way.
it's by the Tiger lady's house.
That she's on 537. You got to be on 571. This guy's on 571. So Timmy, if you pulled out of my road and made a right and went all the way out towards Great Adventure, and when you went under 195, it would be on your right hand side before you got to 537, where the Tiger Lady is, where it used to be. Yeah. All right, guys, we're getting off the tangent here.
Well,
We still haven't done.
I want to say that there was no better Christmas show than we were kids. We used to go to Due Process. That was still the coolest one. Remember, we used to drive through the Volksnick?
Yep. I think I had live animals and everything, Josh.
Yeah.
Like a live nativity scene.
Due Process is or was, I think it's a golf course now, was a horse farm. And the guy had like it all, you would literally drive through, and it was like a mile. And it was different scenes, all lit up and horses. And
Tim, we have another guy down here that does that on Vermont Avenue. I'm sure Josh has been through that one. But the guy hasn't done it in the last couple of years. He's got cancer.
Yeah. I was gonna say he didn't set it up this year again. So
that's 2 years in a row he didn't do it, right?
Yeah. Is it 2 or 3?
It's a shame. That was like a tradition. There's years that we drove through that, I think 10 times because we went. He did it for a food donation, and we used to, we have extra food, so we said let's go drive through that guy's driveway again and donate some more food. For like I think it was Tom's River pantry or something, like food pantry or something like that.
It was always beautiful, and we would go out of our way even after we moved down here to take a trip up with Bryce and check that out. It's a real shame.
One year we were down in North Carolina at Lisa's mom and dad's house, which they live in Fuquay, Varina, North Carolina.
Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, exactly. And
I live in Whitney Estates.
We were watching like one of those shows like World's Best Christmas Lights display shows.
Okay.
And they had like the top 10, and it was like number 2 was like in North Carolina. So I Googled the town. And it was like 40 minutes away, and then from there you got to do a little research and find out the street and everything. But I, through Google, I found where the street was that it was on, and we drove out there. It was like I said, it was like 40 minutes, but it was worth it. The girls had just seen it on TV, and then we were there. It was nice. It wasn't as great as Due Process or like you were talking about, but it was worth it. Daytona Speedway actually does a really cool one we've been to that I'm sure is out now. If you go to Florida now, I'm sure it's out. That's like $25 though.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, let's get to the 4 cylinders.
Yeah. Okay. Now, talking about the 4 cylinders, they put on a pretty good race.
Yes, they did.
I think that was probably one of the best races of the night, or of all of Turkey Derby, to be honest. A lot of good battles. Shout out to Bruce McLaren for getting in the car and getting out there.
That's cool. I love seeing like stuff like that. That guy, he's one of the hardest working guys in the pit area. He'll help anybody anytime. He's just one of those guys. He's got his hands full with his daughters racing, working on their cars. He helps Neil Rutt. He'll come over and give me a hand. I've never seen that guy not help somebody. And for him to go down that hill and get out on that track, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, unfortunately, he found the wall off of turn 4. He
Oh,
slapped.
Jesus, I didn't know that.
He slapped it pretty good. I think he put a tire down, so he pulled it into the infield and parked it. But that was, I think, towards the end of the race. And
Okay, at least he made it some distance. You know?
yeah, oh yeah, no,
He was relatively up to speed. There's people go out there and do a lot worse than he did.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, he didn't look like a rookie or anything like that. He looked like he knew what he was doing, and we've all driven over our heads before, so and made a mistake like that. So
Yeah, but when you see somebody on his very first race hit the wall like that, it's kind of. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but he's pushing his limits. It's showing he's trying to find the edge, and sometimes he went over. Now he knows he went over the edge, hit the wall, and now he knows not to do it again.
yeah, yeah. It also kind of knocks that little bit of fear out of you after you've done it. And you're like, oh, okay, that wasn't, I'm not hurt, so you know. But no, it was great to watch him out there. I think the main
was JC's car.
Yes, yeah, or Deanna's or JC, Deanna, or whatever car, the two.
Okay.
There were a lot of good battles. Now, in actually going back even to the heat race, Cody Critelli was doing pretty well. That car was pretty fast, but I think he got kind of just knocked out of the way, and I think he pulled off early, I believe, in the feature.
What was our car count like, Josh?
Let me see.
It was decent.
Yeah, they had 22 cars as well.
Yeah.
Way too many. Way too many.
Where is he?
I've always noticed that, though. You always notice that the 4-cylinders and factory stocks always have like the same amount of cars. You know what I'm saying? Like they're always real close.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But honestly, another standout was Dean Wolford made an appearance driving the 9A.
I saw that in the beautiful light blue 9A car. I saw Dean at the drivers' meeting. He was real happy and excited to get back out on the racetrack. He said his plan for next year with that car is probably to race the 4-cylinder division at New Egypt Speedway.
Okay.
That's what he plans on doing with that car.
I didn't get to say hi to him, but I did see him for a split second, and it was good seeing him.
He's one of those guys. He's one of those guys that he's like one of the nicest guys at the racetrack. He's that type of guy. You know what I'm saying? He's just always makes sure he comes over and shakes my hand and says hi. And he's just one of those guys that loves racing. He doesn't care if he wins, loses. He just wants to go and have a good time. And he's been around racing a long time. And that's a very famous paint scheme, that light blue 9A. It's been in his family a long time. So it's cool to see him back out on the track.
Like Atlantic City, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. That car raced Atlantic City. He's from down that area, Tim. He's down that way. He's an old Pleasantville guy,
I like him. I was gonna say the one thing I don't like is when he stops to rubberneck at an accident when people are trying to get through. This back at years ago. There's one of my videos of it. I think was it Eric Graham and Marty got together, and Dean had room on the outside, but he really slowed up to crawl around them, and we had cars piling in, and Mike Tash just blew.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That was when that car was like that bronze color. But it was, I think Paul owned it at the time, right?
Yeah,
That's what caused a big wreck. Yeah.
And I think yes, yeah, that was the one Dean was running, and then Tash was running Steve Lynch's old car, that purple thing, and just blasted Dean. And I lost my brakes trying to avoid it, and kind of weaved around, and luckily didn't hit anything. So I started calling him Rubbernecking Dean after that.
Sometimes you just got to go for it, and it's right. It happened to me. I slowed down for a wreck, and I got creamed from behind.
Yeah.
It's one of those situations you don't know to stop or go, and sometimes you're screwed either way. So
yeah.
But yeah, it was great to. He's definitely had a big smile on his face, and I'm glad to see him back racing, doing what he really loves.
The shark food car was there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't win. He made it illegal now, and he didn't win.
he was still up there though. He was up front.
Yeah, he's a great driver. That car's fast,
Mike Lavery was back. I think he has quite a drive because he was an Evergreen guy or a Neats guy. I remember racing with him up at Evergreen, and So it's good to see him making the haul each week coming down. Now, the big part of the show was Neil Rutt and Ronnie Mullen again next to each other.
Now, see, to me, it looked like Ronnie had him covered, and I don't know if Neil was just riding around or with like 10 laps ago, Neil found a different line or something. The car came to him because he really caught back up to him that one time and gave him a hell of a run. That was a good race.
I talked to Neil, and Ronnie, one of his back tires was pretty much all worn away, and Neil had no right front left. So yeah, it's like when you get stuck
And
side by side.
It makes sense because Neil's car is a front wheel drive car, and Ronnie's is a real. I think the only, well, not the only, but one of the few rear wheel cars out there. So
Yeah.
that's why Ronnie had a rear tire going bad, and Neil had a front tire going
And
bad.
Neil actually got underneath of him, and they were side by side for what, 4 or 5 laps, Josh?
Oh, at least,
Then-
yeah.
And then yellow came out. It would have been interesting because like Neil would get underneath him, but then Ronnie would pull him a little bit off the corner.
Well, yeah, Ronnie's car's got big motor.
If they would have stayed side by side until the checkered, it would have been interesting to see who beat who to the line.
Yeah, but
It was cool seeing Ronnie win that race. He just turned 50 years old, which makes me feel old. You too, Tim, because we've hung out with Ronnie since we were kids. We practically played in the sandbox together when we were kids, you know.
Yeah.
So to see that he's 50, I'm like, oh my God, one of my childhood friends is 50. You know what I'm saying? So
How old
I'm
are
pretty
you,
sure it was
Scott?
Ron. I'm 46.
46.
What are you,
okay.
48, Tim?
Yeah, unfortunately.
And but it was Ronnie's first race his first race after he turned 50, so for him to go out and win his first race at 50 years of age, it was awesome,
And it was Turkey Derby.
In typical Roddy Mullen fashion, he had his phone out, taping himself, going down the back straightaway, yelling and screaming. Did you see that on Facebook? He posted it on Facebook.
Nah,
I
I
didn't see
heard.
it.
I was putting my dirt car back together to try to get it on the trailer, and I could hear he was screaming so loud in victory lane, I couldn't understand what he was saying.
Up on the roof for typical Roddy Mullen.
Ronnie might be 50 years old, but he has the energy of a 15-year-old. That's for sure.
Yeah, oh, most definitely. And it was good to see him win. He deserved it.
It's been a little while,
And his son Cole was finished 15th. I think it was actually his second 4-cylinder race. So,
That's cool. We had a father and son out on the racetrack. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I mean, he's learning. He was what a lap or two down at the end there, and but he did well. He's learning. I mean, he's done really well with the quarter midgets and stuff over the years, and now he's stepping up to the bigger cars. And
he's good. He's a good kid too. You ever talk to him? He's very polite and respectful.
Oh yeah. Well, we interviewed him a while back, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So overall, they had definitely a really good race going. A lot of cars all over the place, and they kept it going. It was exciting, and I hope the fans enjoyed it because
I think they did. Yeah, they did. They were cheering and stuff.
But yeah, so congrats to Ronnie getting the win there. I mean, just barely. It's funny, Scott. You'll enjoy this. They had Ronnie and Neil had identical best laps.
Oh wow.
15.744.
I don't know who it was. I think it was Robbie Anderton in the Sportsman race. I did hear someone say a curse word in victory lane.
That happened twice.
Twice. We used to call him potty mouth, and I meant to try to remember who did it, but someone was a potty mouth in victory lane. I think it was Robbie Anderton.
Two of them were. I'm trying to think what was one of the.
I think one of them might have been the demo derby, Josh.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to repeat it because I don't need to create more work for myself.
So we had a couple of potty mouths out there. We called Brian Osborne out on it when he was a potty mouther. So now we got to call these guys out on it. But Josh, this is what the top 4 cylinders.
Yeah, sure. So Ronnie Mullen gets the win over Neil Rutt III, who no longer has that car now because Ronnie, Paul Hartwig Jr. bought Neil Rutt's car for little Paulie to race now, and
they said that little kid's got 66 wins this year.
Can you believe it?
Oh, I believe it as much as they travel, but that's impressive.
Yeah, and what was it, 3 or 6 championships or something this year? I mean, the kid's a good driver. But it looks like Neil's going to be running factory stocks again next year. So, Scott, just giving you a heads up. Uh, anyway, so Neil Rutt third, finished second. Joe Warren, that's your shark fin in third. Sal Ligori,
Okay.
Alonzo Morales, Mike Lavery, Ian Ashford, Doug Ashford, Marco Vuksanic, and Brian DeSarno are your top 10. So,
Okay. And then demo derbies real quick. I
uh,
thought they were good. They had what 14? I think they had 14 in the first one and 16 in the big cars.
I thought it was 10 and 12 or something like that, but continue.
It looked like they made the arena a little bit bigger too.
They
this
did.
time.
They made it. They had. I've been a big advocate of that. That they need to make it bigger. They made it bigger. It's just big enough now where it needs to be. They have a little bit more room where they can move around.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought the demo derbies were good. The four-cylinder one, I think was a little less than the big car one. The big car one was good. Those guys just wouldn't give up. Those last 3 or 4 cars, and then it got down to 2, and those last 2 were. I just thought it was going to be that they ran out of gas. And ironically, one of those guys was only on 3 wheels for a long time.
Yes.
He broke the axle, and it just got to the point where I think the transmission just got so hot it wouldn't move anymore. You know what I mean? Because he was still running.
Yeah, the car was still going, but I mean, yeah, like you said, they were barely crawling, and then eventually he just couldn't move it any further. And
then,
I was pulling for him though, because I mean, on 3 wheels to last that long and keep going.
Yeah. Once you get that far, I was pulling. I wanted that old what was it, Thunderbird that came out, that purple car.
Okay.
With the flames on the side.
Yeah.
I think it was a Thunderbird.
Scott, your parts car might be in okay shape. He got pushed up and hung over a barrier.
Yeah, I was a little disheartened with that. A guy showed up with a '79 Monte Carlo, which is a GM metric car. That's what we all use in the factory stock division. And I tell you what, that car didn't have much rust or nothing on it. I'm like, oh my God, that's a perfect parts car for us. And this guy's going to run in the demo. I tell you what, it looked well built though. He had it pre-bent in the back so it would bend up, and he had the trunk tucked in so it would take the shot. And he had the big demo derby header stacks on the motor, and he had good tires on it. Like it looked like it was well built.
Yeah, he had all the doors welding. I know they have the option of like chaining or welding. He welded those doors.
Yeah, welding's usually stronger.
There was a couple with the roll cages built around the outside of the car too. And they put the 2 bars up and over the top of the side, and then connected with one over the roof.
Yeah,
there was 1 or 2 of them like that there.
But Scott,
the guy that won the big car one. He said that he had bought it that morning. Did you listen to the interview, Josh?
No, I didn't hear that part.
He bought that car that morning and gutted it out. All he did was gut it out and bring it to the racetrack.
And that's what I love about demos. That people are like, oh, that car's too overbuilt. That car's too overbuilt. You just never know in a demo. You just never know. Like sometimes a stock car will beat a well-built car, you know, and then sometimes a well-built car will destroy a stock car. You just never know, you know.
Yeah.
Some of those older cars, they're definitely good demo cars, but they've been sitting for 35 years. You know, there's rust in the fuel line. And this guy who was in the car was probably driven on the street yesterday. So it was all clean, ready to go.
Oh, Scott, what did you end up doing with that car from the Triple B?
I went back to the junkyard. I stripped all my stuff out of it.
Oh, okay. I was just curious, because would that have been a decent demo car?
It was pretty beat up.
Okay.
Those cars don't work good as a demo because, like I said, they bend down in the back.
Okay.
So you got to pre-bend them. You got to pre-bend them up so when they hit, they'll bend up, because you don't want the demo cars you don't want the trunks bending down, because what happens is the bumper hits the ground and actually lifts your back wheels off the ground and you can't move anymore. Right. So that car, I mean, it would have worked. You just would have had to pre-bend it in the back, you know, take it somewhere where someone's got a bucket load or something and have them push the back end up, you know.
Well, like I was saying, that Monte Carlo that you liked, he took a front end hit and got pushed back up over the Jersey barrier and was left hanging, literally.
Scott, you remember when we were little, there was a demo derby, and some guy came with a Camaro, and everybody in the pits was trying to buy it from the guy?
Yeah.
Now, the 4-cylinder demo, the one issue I have is there was that girl running the, I don't know, it was like a green one. She took like 2 hits and then was out, but then she drove it off after it was over, like nothing was wrong.
Sometimes when they sit there and they cool off, they will start back up.
Okay. Yeah. She was out pretty early. I was trying to pull for that one, and It was out after like the third hit.
Yeah, so it probably never even heated up. But who knows? It might have got a couple hits and jiggled something around and wouldn't start, and then it probably started. After sitting there for a while, it probably finally started back up.
Ask Steve Rickelman. He's good for that.
Did he have a car there, Tim?
There were a couple A1s there, but I didn't hear Steven's name.
No, I didn't see him walking around the pits either.
There was
where
one.
Where were the majority of the cars from? Was there New York guys there and Pennsylvania guys there, or was it mostly New Jersey guys?
Oh, like Josh said, Tim, whatever his name is, do the he wasn't real familiar with it. I don't think their paperwork was real good on where a lot of people were from, so he didn't have a lot of information.
It's almost like when they pull down on the track, the announcer should stand there and the guy should pull up and be like, "All right, what's your name?" And just announce it.
I think
so everybody knows.
I think Eric Graham, I think, kind of last minute got an entry list with the car numbers and
What I'm saying? If there's only 10 or 12
tower.
cars, as they pull down on the track, you can literally stop and Tim can reach in the window and be like, "Oh, what's your name in your town?" And he can just say it real quick, or even put the microphone in and let the guy introduce himself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But it was a good show.
Do it while they're setting the arena up. Like they should literally pull the cars down while they're setting the arena up to keep the fans.
Yes.
You could interview each of them. While they're building the arena, they pull down and let the guy interview each car that comes down. This way the guys are getting interviewed. The fans know who they are while the arena is getting built.
And they actually, that's another thing. Yeah, I agree 100% with that. They actually got the arena up and running pretty quickly this time. It wasn't a horribly long time.
No, it took a little while. That front end loader got more cars out to make room for the big cars than any tow truck. He was just going in, picking them up, dumping them somewhere else. The track crew did a really good job getting that moved around. Now the big cars, they moved the Jersey barriers quite a bit.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they definitely did.
They were
That's
running
amazing,
into those.
isn't it? Because those Jersey barriers are like 2,000 pounds a piece.
And you had two, 3 cars pushing in like a freight train, and they just doink, knocked them out of the way.
Did you see that one guy after the race was over? The car that said Z-Man on the top of it.
Yeah.
See, he was pissed after the race for some reason. Did you see him come over and slam his helmet on the winner's roof and everything? And he was well out of it before.
Yeah,
sore loser.
He was like the last 4. He was in the last 4 cars, but he was pretty upset about something.
Yeah, and then I had JC like 10 feet to the left of me saying, "Let him fight,
Yeah.
hit him."
Now, real quick, did a lot of people stay to watch the demo? Did more people come in to watch the demo?
Nobody more came in, I don't think. But for as cold as it was, or cold as it was getting, a lot of people stayed. Some people did leave, but a lot of people stayed.
I would say a significant portion of the crowd stayed to watch the demos, and it's a shame more people weren't there because they missed a couple good demolition derbies.
Yeah, the demo derbies were good. There were a lot of hard hits and a lot of cars, a lot of good old cars. I like.
I tell you what, our track manager Diane Krause, she loves the demolition derbies, and she puts up big money. If anybody's listening that does demolition derbies or have done them in the past, Wall Stadium is a great place to do a demolition derby. She pays well. You don't have to qualify through a heat race. It's a one and done type demo derby. So bring a car out and do some demolition derbies.
And I think they, because they're not actually oval track racing, it's a different type of racing. They don't need a Hans device.
Hans device would do nothing in them because you're not wearing those type of seat belts.
Exactly. So they can skirt some of the other rules that we have to.
I think you do need to wear that foam neck brace though.
The horse collar, but I mean those are what, like $10?
Yeah.
So
all day long.
If you buy a helmet anywhere, they give you one.
You
can roll some towels up and duct tape and it'll pass off.
One thing I do want to mention, it is race related, that Stumpy's is closing, Scott.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Wow, they've been in business forever. Josh, just so you know, there used to be an old modified driver. His name was John Stumpf or Joe Stumpf. Don Stumpf. And he owns Stumpy's down by the headliner there in Neptune. They've been doing Yamaha motorcycles and water sports stuff like jet skis and all that stuff for many, 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 many years.
Our lifetime. Our lifetime.
Yeah, it's been there ever since we were kids. I'm very surprised to hear that place is closing.
Wow.
Yeah,
but you know what? In this area, though, there's no
Can't
place
ride
left to ride.
motorcycles anymore.
Yeah, there's no place left to ride anymore.
Yeah, people come
you know?
down to Waretown because we have some of the entrances to the Pinelands and stuff, but they either get busted or but I mean because it's not legal unless you have a license and you have a street legal motorcycle, then you can go ride on the dirt trails and stuff. But there's no place to ride quads or anything like that, so people are all doing it illegally. And
then the guy switched from selling motorcycles to water sports like jet skis and wave runners because he's right on the water there. But there again, no one's buying that stuff anymore. If you want to ride a jet ski, you just go rent one.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? You just go rent them for a couple hours. So everybody's moving to the rental stuff. It's getting like racing. No one wants to work on their race cars anymore, and they're paying other people to do it. Just like riding watercraft now, people only get to do it a couple times a year. So why buy one when you can just go rent one for the day? So I think that's another reason why he might be going out of business.
I will say Trapani's down here is still seems to be doing okay, and they're into all the dirt bike motors and accessories and things like that. And like
plus they modified the suspensions and all that stuff too, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I know that place seems to be doing okay. Not that I see a lot of people in there, but it's kind of like a Mike's Performance thing, but for more for off road kind of stuff. But I don't know. I think New Jersey could really use some OHV parks.
Yeah.
Or
you know what happens? So they open up and then
Somebody
gets hurt or paralyzed, and the next thing you know, they're closed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. How do you get insurance, especially in this state?
Yeah. I mean, that's why I have my Jeep. I mean, that's how I go over. And I got a Jeep. It's all legal, and I can go through all those state parks legally.
Yeah.
I go out to not Casville. What's the other one? Kyler's Mills. I can ride through Kyler's Mills all legally. Because I'm insured, licensed, registered.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as you're on the public land or whatever and on the dirt roads.
It's totally legal.
Yeah.
We go out there all the time. It's beautiful out there. All right, guys, that moves us to what have we learned? Oh, wait, one quick. I want to mention Steve Barrick. I showed up at the racetrack. Pit gates open at 10 a.m. I was there about 9:45, waiting in line, freezing cold to get in the pits, and Steve Barrick's walking up and down the road out to the highway selling his programs to the people pulling into the parking lot.
Really?
That guy is dedicated to selling those programs. And I looked at his hand. He had about 10 programs in his hand, and they're $4 a piece. I said, this guy's out in the freezing cold, walking this whole line of traffic to make $40 if he sells all of them.
Wow.
But people are buying it because they're sitting in line. Yeah, it's a perfect time to buy a program because you're sitting in line.
We buy one every week. You know what I mean?
I do too. I love that program.
Yeah, that's a staple of Wall Stadium for sure.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, everybody asked my Sunday was good. I want to mention there was an older gentleman. He didn't tell me his name. He came up to me on Sunday and said he enjoyed the podcast. He was from Pennsylvania. He says he doesn't have cable TV, but he has the internet, and we are his cable TV on Tuesday mornings. He said Scott does a wonderful job, and me and Josh just follow along. And
I also had a guy from Pennsylvania come up to me and say he really enjoyed the part when I talked about my Florida trip for an hour. Tim, well, how do you feel about that?
It's okay with me.
He said he drove to Delaware and he listened to the podcast on his way down to Delaware, and he enjoyed the part of me talking about the Florida Keys. But then again,
I
he's been
enjoyed
to the
Florida more than I did worried about how many factory stocks are starting to race.
Start them all.
I think Rick Patterson mentioned planning a vacation to Florida or something after.
Anyway, my Sunday went good. We got there at 12 o'clock, and the weather was good, and I enjoyed the races. Everything was well. The place was relatively cleaned up from last week. There was still some garbage around, but
the crowd was a little lighter than I would hope.
No, well, sure, it's a week. It's December. Yeah. People got other things to do. I think wasn't I was telling Josh. I think Earl Krause might have been at the Checkered Flag fan.
Yeah, that banquet. There was a lot of banquets were going on. Plus, out in Harrisburg, they were having their big Motorama weekend out there. There was a lot going on. A lot of people had other plans, but I liked it. I liked the Saturday after Turkey Derby. I kind of wish they were racing again this weekend. And I mean, I'm free on Christmas. If they want to have a race on Christmas, I'll show up. too. It doesn't matter to
Well,
me.
you just want to finish that damn Outlaw Stock race.
It's all back together. I'll do a couple more laps of that thing. It's still got a full tank of fuel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Trying to think.
All right, let's hit what have we learned. Unless
Yeah.
you guys want to talk about anything else real quick.
No, I think we're good. Well, we got another show or two left before our Christmas break. So yeah, let's start with what have we learned? Let's start with Tim.
I haven't learned anything.
Well, while you're thinking about something, Tim, I learned Bruce McLaren slapped it pretty hard.
Is that all you got, Scott?
Yeah.
That was good. I'm still waiting on Tim. He's still thinking.
Oh, no, I was waiting for you, Josh. Go.
Oh, okay. I learned that Nancy's front end looked good this weekend. I learned that Scott thinks meatball sandwiches should be eaten at home. And I learned that Scott's balls are up on 571.
Not mine. The other guy's balls up on 571.
Scott, did you guys go out after Turkey Derby this weekend?
Yeah, we went to the Ark, like always. It was kind of cool. I left by the time I got everything loaded up and got paid. They were just starting a 4-cylinder demo. I can hear it starting, and we went right to the Ark. It was only like 5 o'clock when we got there. It was a good time. The Ark's always a good time. If you ever want to go to a nice place after the races, go to the Ark. You know, it's really
Yeah, I like. It's been a while since I've been there, but the food's good there. A lot of people this time around seem to go to Pete Nellis, which is okay.
Elliot Wall actually invited me. He actually went home, unloaded his race car stuff. He actually bought like a little bus now, like a 15-passenger bus, and he put on Facebook that he was going to Pete and Elda's, and he said if anybody wants to go, meet me in Wall Stadium parking lot at 7:30. He bought the bus there, and they all loaded into the bus and drove to Pete and Elda's from there.
Wow. That sounds like an Elliot thing to do. Or a gas thing.
Isn't he sponsored by Woody's?
Yeah, but George and Andretti buys a lot of his T-shirts through Elliot, so Elliot supports both.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, a lot of people seem to be going to Pete Nellis more than Woody's right now. And believe it or not, when we left coming home, Mulligan's was packed. Like you couldn't even get in the parking lot. There were so many people in there.
You ever notice that goes in cycles too?
Yes,
like
it does.
Mulligan's was the big place for a while, and then the party moved over to Woody's, and now the party's moving over to Pete and Elda's, and then it'll be back to Mulligan's and Tom's Tavern. I like the Ark. I mean, a handful of racers go in there. Plus the locals are in there, and they're cool to hang out with. That's where I go.
I do like the
on my
Ark.
way home.
It's I like the Ark, especially when Craig Daniel plays there. But I ended up going to Jack and Mike's Brick House in Brick. So we do that at Houlihan's because usually it's closer to my parents. So when I'm going to drop my dad off before I head home, and I have a friend that works over there. They have this outside in burger with the bacon and cheese cooked inside the burger.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I mean, it's hard to say no to that.
I had Manhattan clam chowder. I had about 3 spoonfuls of it, and I was full. But they, you know what they got at the Ark now? They call it port wine fries. You know, that port wine cheese or whatever.
Okay.
They put it on French fries. Really, really good.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
You know, I ate dinner already. Now I'm gonna go eat again because
I haven't eaten. If you go to Mulligan's now, they have these things, and a lot of people go to Mulligan's. They have these. I don't think they're on the menu. I think you just got to order them. They're called 50-50 wings. It's like one of those things where they cook it for like half the time in the grease, I think, in the oil, and then the other half they do it on the grill. Finish them off on the grill, like where they cook the cheeseburgers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They are amazing. They're so good. And Scott,
go ahead, Tim.
If you like, believe it or not, if you like Manhattan clam chowder, Woody's has.
I actually like New England clam chowder, but for some reason I said Manhattan clam chowder when it came out. I was a little disappointed.
New England, I like New England clam chowder.
You know how I remember which is which? I like the white, which is New England. The way I cheat, New England is white, so it snows a lot in New England. So I just say, all right, New England's a winter snow. It's white, and I don't know why I ordered Manhattan. And when it came out, I said, Nancy, did I order Manhattan or New England? She's like, you said Manhattan.
That always reminds me. You know, every time people order that, it reminds me of Ace Ventura, where he knocks on the door, looking for the guy that knows all about the porpoises and stuff.
Yeah.
What's the password? He's like, New England clam chowder. Is that the red or the white? And Tim Carrey's like, you can never remember.
So that's how I remember. That's a little tip for everybody listening. New England, white because it snows, so the clam chowder is white.
But
we talked about coffee last week. The Ark has awesome coffee. They have the beans and they themselves and make the coffee right there. They got really good coffee.
Really good coffee. The best coffee, not in like a Wawa, is the Roadside Diner has really good coffee. And believe it or not, the Breakfast Club here in Farmingdale has amazing coffee. It's really good. And French onion soup, Mulligan's, is really good. If you're a soup guy.
If you want to talk about food real quick, someone posted on Facebook French onion macaroni and cheese. Instead of putting the French onion pack in soup, you put it in macaroni and cheese and mix it up.
I'd try it.
I have to say the Wawa loaded baked potato soup is, I mean, I'm not saying it's healthy by any means, but that is a good comfort food on a cold day.
I know you're a Wawa guy, but Quick Check has something called Thanksgiving Day soup.
Ooh,
that's really which is really good. They got, you mentioned Tim, I think you mentioned tomato soup earlier in the podcast, but they got something called pumpkin spice soup. It kind of looks like tomato soup, but it's pumpkin soup. It's got a different taste to it because you're almost like ready for the tomato soup taste when you go to eat it.
Yep.
And it's like a pumpkin taste, but it's pretty
spicy,
good.
Right?
No, it's not really spicy. It's called pumpkin spice. It's not spicy. It's just the spice of pumpkin. Pumpkin.
So it's like the cloves and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Mexican restaurant Casa Comida, and I guess that's Red Bank, I guess you call that.
Long Branch, right?
Yeah, whatever. Okay, Long Branch, West Long Branch, wherever that is there. They have pumpkin soup there all the time. If you want pumpkin soup.
Okay.
So Josh, do you ever go into like a Quick Check, or you strictly?
No,
Wawa?
I go to Quick Check because especially up like where I work, like in Oakhurst and Long Branch and that kind of area, there's no Wawas at all. So I got to go to Quick Check there, and I'll get like a turkey sub kind of a thing. Their coffee's fine. I got no problem with them. That I do like that. In compared to Wawa, if I get like a turkey sub, I can put bacon and pepperoni on it. Whereas Wawa, you get one or the other. I'm just saying,
but next time you're in there, try that Thanksgiving Day soup.
All right, if they have it, I'll try it.
I mean, if you want to try the pumpkin spices for fun, I'm not saying it's a great soup. It's just something a little bit different. I tried it. It's not that great, but if you just to try it, but the Thanksgiving Day soup is really good.
Okay,
their soup's it's $5 for like this little container.
Yeah, like
soup is expensive. If you look at the difference between soup, even like it's crazy. I don't know if it's a mind thing, but next time you go there, nobody ever really looks. You either buy a cup of soup or nobody buys a bowl. Everybody gets a cup of soup. You know what I mean? When you go to the diner.
I got the bowl because it was only $1 more, and I thought I was going to be able to eat it all.
So you look, you're exactly what I was going to say. If you look at the menu of a diner, right? Like I said, most people get a cup of soup. To get a whole bowl is like another 75 cents. It's not that much.
I always go for the bowl.
I think everybody just doesn't. I just get a cup and then they look at the price.
But then what I do, because I spent the extra $1 for the bowl, I ask for extra crackers, so I got to
make up for it.
Yeah.
Take the crackers home with you.
Yeah, put them in my pocket.
Well, what kind of crackers do they have? Because I honestly,
they have the oyster crackers in a package at the Ark.
Okay, now because a lot of times you just get those saltines. I prefer a good Ritz.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Ritz. They have the Captain wafers. They're called. They're Ritz, but they're called Captain wafers.
Yeah, I think
at the Ark they have the oyster. At the Ark they have the oyster crackers in the package, and at Quick Check they have the saltines. And half the time the bin's empty. You got to ask for a cracker.
Yeah.
Where Wawa's got like a crate of crackers out there, you can just fill up on crackers. And then they have jelly packs here too. You order soup, you throw some crackers in your bag and grab a couple packs of jelly too. Now
they got
crackers.
Wawa's got jelly. They got honey. All kinds.
I tell you what, though, I don't want to put my hand in that jelly package bin because there's always one busted open and it's all sticky and stuff. So proceed with caution if you want jelly from Wawa.
I don't even.
I
want
don't got the time for all that. Go to Wawa and put jelly and cinnamon and all that crap. I can barely get coffee in the cup and some creamer, and I'm out the door.
It depends. If I have a headache, sometimes I'll grab a Red Bull or something.
Well, while we're on the subject, Josh, are you a fan or not a fan of like those kiosk things in Wawa now, where you got to go and physically press the button and say, you want mayonnaise or you want ketchup on your sandwich or whatever?
I like it.
You're okay with them?
Yeah, it means I don't have to talk to somebody. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. They even have them at McDonald's now. I like them better. Than
I
McDonald's
tried
too.
one at McDonald's one time, coming home from a tour race. It was like 2:00 in the morning.
Uh-huh.
Either I was just had a brain malfunction, or I couldn't get it to work. I couldn't.
They're pretty simple. I like them.
The one at Wawa is easy.
I'm like Josh. It's just, here we go. I wish they had them in parts stores.
Oh yeah.
When the axle broke on the 41, insult to injury, the car over rev because it free spun and it shot up to like 7,500. When I hit the recall attack, it was close to 7,700 RPMs. So all the belts came off the pulleys. So Sunday I had, they were all wrapped around the fan and the water pump and everything. I got the belts out. Well, I had 2 V belts. I literally walk in the Advanced Auto with the 2 V belts all twisted up and stuff. I set them on the counter and the guy says, "Do you need a serpentine belt?" I said, "Never mind." I'm standing there with 2 V belts and he's asking me if it's a serpentine belt. I'm like, forget it, man. You're not even close. Just give me the computer. While he's looking it up on the computer, I looked it up on my phone quicker than he was looking it up on his computer. Like I went on Advanced Auto Parts, parts locator. I'm like, here, this is what I need.
That's why a lot of times I do my order online and just pick it up in the store. But the problem is sometimes that last minute item.
But what Tim is saying with the Wawas and the McDonald's, I'd rather use the kiosk because, like you said, it's less one person you got to talk to and explain yourself what you want. It's just printing it out for them.
You know your car, you know what you're looking for.
And I like the McDonald's ones too because you just pay with a credit card right there. You even got to go up and pay the counter or nothing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Pretty soon we won't see our money and we won't talk to anybody. It's going to be a perfect world.
Money anyway.
In about 10 years, it's going to be a perfect world.
It's just it's all numbers on a piece of paper. That's all it is.
They're just it's just life credits. My paycheck goes right into my bank account. There's no actual cash exchanging hands anymore.
In my line of work, I still deal with a lot of cash.
Yeah.
I buy a junk car of somebody, they want that cash in their hand.
Oh yeah, that's right. You got to do my in-laws this week. Sometime.
Yeah, I'm freed up. I'm booked tomorrow, but I can do it Wednesday, Thursday, whenever you need it done. Just let me know.
Sure. I'll shoot you a text with the info later. Now I spilled beer on my
face.
face.
Guys. You guys ready to wrap it up?
Yeah. Unless we have another restaurant we want to talk about.
Where'd you go
about an hour ago anyway? So
where'd you go Saturday, Josh?
He said he went to
Brick House.
Brick House or something. Yeah, Brick House.
I came home with chicken legs out of the crock pot.
It just popped in there.
Chicken legs?
Yeah.
In a crock pot?
Mm-hmm.
It is crock pot season now. You want to talk about crock pots for a little bit?
That are Instapots. Lisa loves the Instapot. It's
the soup where you just dump the water in it?
No, it's a pressure cooker. But you can do a lot more with it now. And there's some digital stuff on the front, but she used to do sausage, peppers, and onions in a crock pot, and she'd let it cook for like 6 to 8 hours or something, right?
Right.
She can do it in like 15 minutes in a Instapot.
Yeah, I think crock pot. I like the 6 to 8 hour thing because I would brown them on the stove and throw everything in the pot at 7 in the morning and then go to work. And then when you're home at 5 o'clock, the house smells good and the food's ready to go.
Yeah. But with the Instapot, you get the same result, and you can do it after you get home, so you don't have to leave anything on during the day if you don't want to. It's been and if you have a last minute change of anything, it helps. But
crock pot. I love doing crock. The girls' favorite, one of the favorite ones that we make is you just take onion beef broth, and I buy a little bit higher end, like a piece of steak, not top shelf, but not the bottom shelf, medium style steak, cut it up, put it in there with just potatoes, onions, peas and carrots and stuff like that, whatever you want in there. And you put a little Worcestershire sauce in there and some ketchup. And you got to put a McDonald's barbecue sauce for the chicken nuggets.
Okay.
Just one of those and one McDonald's sweet and sour sauce in there. And you let it cook all day. Oh, that's so good. Mushrooms in there, whatever you want.
So what is it, like a stew then when it's done?
They call it steakhouse stew.
Steakhouse stew. So it's something you guys whipped up, or did you see it somewhere?
No, I just made it over the years.
I like it.
But the key,
Nancy's got a cool breakfast one. I mean, a lot of people do dinners in the slow cook, in the slow cookers. She's got a breakfast one. It's an apple granola. She like cuts up apples and
we've had that. Yeah. She's made that
I think she puts butter in and brown sugar or something like that.
Yeah.
Apple granola in the slow cooker is really, really good for breakfast.
You know what's really good, and I've never made it, but is crock pot lasagna if it's made right.
Okay.
I've never tried to make it. I've never looked at a recipe, but I've eaten many of it at one of the modified tour races. People make it a lot. And if it's made, it's like anything else. If it's made right, it's made really, really good.
Yeah.
It comes out good. But that's something you would never think in a crock pot.
No, I'm still trying to figure out.
I'll be buying a frozen Stouffer's lasagna now and throwing it in the crock pot now.
They're not cheap, those lasagnas.
The Stouffer's ones, aren't they like $15 now?
Yeah,
Someone
they're
told
not
me
cheap.
Jeff Lane, who owns his son Eric Lane's Sportsman Modified. For some reason, I mentioned a Stouffer's lasagna to him. He's like, "No, get off the lasagna." He said Stouffer's makes a meatloaf now. That's really good. A Stouffer's meatloaf.
That's what I had for dinner, meatloaf. It was good.
Wasn't a Stouffer's one though. Huh?
No,
it's
homemade.
I make a pretty mean meatloaf. Not as good as Grandma Carol's, but
you gotta go. I tell you what. Since we're talking about food, if anybody's listening for racing, we're done with the racing right now. We're talking about food. Growing up, I hated Boston Market. I just hate it. Everything tasted watery to me. Nothing tasted good. But Nancy came home with Boston Market the other day, and she brought me home the meatloaf, and it was really good. Boston Market's got good meatloaf.
Meatloaf with the ketchup sauce on top of it?
Yeah.
I actually think we used to go to Boston Market quite a bit when we lived in Howell, but I actually think the meatloaf's good, don't get me wrong, but it was better years ago. Right? It's kind of quality is coming down. I'd get double meatloaf, mashed potatoes, mac and cheese, and the cream spinach. Boston Market has the best cream spinach.
Really?
And then the apples. What do they call them? Spicy apples or whatever they call them.
Baked apples.
Oh, they're so good.
Yeah. I like baked apples.
Josh, I'm coming down. We're going to the diner after we get done with this.
Sure, we can do that.
One time I picked up Boston Market and I got my meatloaf, and the guy says, "Come back tomorrow. Tomorrow night's prime rib night." I'm like, "Prime rib at Boston Market? Did you ever try the prime rib at Boston Market?"
I never knew they had it.
I think Thursday or something, prime rib night or something like that, or Tuesdays or prime rib night.
It's been years since I've been to Boston Market.
Wow.
All right, guys. Well, that wraps up episode 160 of the RPM podcast, and thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Yep.
We got a couple episodes left, and then we're going to take a little break for Christmas and New Year's, and we'll be back. Then we have indoor racing coming up. We're going to have Daytona in February. I mean, we're talking like 2 months. And don't forget the Rolex 24. There's still a lot of racing coming.
Weeks is coming up. I'm thinking about going back down there and racing. I'm just not sure if Bronson's having their race this year or not.
That's right.
Definitely looking to put something together, go race a little bit during speed weeks. Josh, what about motorsports? Have you heard anything about motorsports?
Nope, not yet. I that's mostly on me, though. I haven't followed up. So I'm going to try to make that my mission for this week, along with
cool.
editing some videos, which should make Scott happy.
Man, I forgot my GoPro at home on Saturday, and it sucked because I had some really good incidents happen right in front of me and some very close races.
No video?
So it's the first time in my life I forgot my GoPro at home.
Wow. I'm going real light this year then.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on Billy Both right now for some footage. And
because I was right behind that. Brian O'Shea, Ricky Collins is in it too, so I would have had that
Yeah.
on there, but we got nothing.
yeah,
All right, good night, guys. That wraps up episode 160 of the RPM podcast, and we'll see you next week.
Yep, see you next week. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening.